What is going on, Tentacrew? My name is Billy the Squid, and I'm not 100% sure how to do a video like this. I don't know how to go about it without it seeming like I'm trying to clout grab or something, but as I was gathering up footage from my charity stream weekend last weekend to make a thank you video for the community for doing all of that, I came across a video that I felt was worth me talking about. Well, for one, because I've made a video on the topic very recently, and for two, because the backlash that this creator was getting seems extremely unjustified considering how well they did on delivering their take. As they said in their video, it was a lukewarm take, and it's getting way more backlash than I feel like it needs to. So I wanted to make this video to kind of come to the defense of that take. And without beating around the bush anymore, the video in question is Ratatosker's now two-part video about gatekeeping and cheesing. And Redditosker, if you end up watching this and want me to take it down, just let me know. I will happily do so. I don't want you having people coming to your defense that you don't want coming to your defense. But in that video, it was triggered by the Fighting Cowboys tweets about gatekeeping, cheesing, and stuff like that. And basically, the Fighting Cowboys stance was very similar to my stance that I had in a prior video, where I basically said, hey, let people play the game the way they want to play. Yes, these strats are in the game. Whether they are working as intended or not is neither here nor there. There are still ways of playing the game, and somebody else's method of playing does not directly impact your method of playing the game. So don't go and kind of forcing your opinion on people. That was my stance on it, and that seems to be the Fighting Cowboys' stance on it as well. And this is opinion that, in his own video, was shared by Ratatosker himself. It's an opinion that it is outwardly bad to force onto somebody else your own play style. And that wasn't even the intent of that video. At least that's not what I gained from the video. I don't want to put words in Ratatosker's mouth on why he made the video or what he was trying to say. But what I gathered from it was not him trying to be elitist or force the way that he enjoys to play the game on his audience or anybody watching the video. What I gathered from the video was the argument of providing value for any way that somebody plays the game. Whether that method is a cheese strat, or whether it is fighting purely melee, or whether it's using Ashes of War. Providing value in those playstyles and acknowledging that they are quote-unquote correct ways of playing the game. But I think the deeper implications of that video was that people's values and what they look for in these games are going to be different. And just because something doesn't match your way of playing the game doesn't mean that it's outwardly wrong or bad. As stated, it is not outwardly bad to go in with the infinite FP flask and combat du jour and stunlock a boss to death. That is not an improper way of playing the game. That is not a bad way of playing the game. I actually very much enjoyed the acknowledgement that there is creativity in finding different cheese strats and different ways of simplifying the games, and an enjoyment for the speedrun community, which, as stated, is based around finding as much cheese as possible to beat the game as quickly as possible. There are plenty of videos out there explaining the validity of using these strats in the game, such as the Fighting Cowboys tweet, such as my own video, and honestly, such as Ratatosker's video. I think where the quote-unquote controversy, I cannot say that word today. I think where the quote-unquote controversy comes in is anytime somebody goes to the defense of people that have a higher standard for themselves on playing this game. And even using the term higher standard implies elitism in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know of a better way of saying it, but I'm just going to go ahead and just call it for what it is. If you get more joy out of playing the game with a melee-only build, not utilizing spells, not utilizing spirit summons, not utilizing anything that is considered a cheese, you still have a valid way of playing the game, and you expressing your enjoyment for playing the game in that way should not be met with backlash. I've talked to people that did not want to use magics on their first playthrough because they would rather be up close and personal and have more of those dangerous encounters in the melee range. That is a valid way of playing the game. I've had people come into my stream and tell me, yeah, I use the mimic to clear out the second half of the game just so that I could say I have completed this game. And that is a valid way of playing the game. There's several people in the Souls community that went into the game and did level 1 runs blind for their first playthrough. And if that's the way that they enjoyed it, I don't think they're being elitist and trying to get one up on other people that leveled up in the game. I think that's just the way that they enjoyed playing the game the most. One of my viewers comes in pretty typically, and they played through the game with a strength-only build going through the first part of the game. They did not like how magic felt. They felt like it was an unenjoyable experience for them. They did not like these spirit summons. So what they did was they went with the heaviest weapons that they could find and did bonk squad throughout the game, because that is the way that they wanted to play the game. That is the way they got the most enjoyment out of playing the game. And they have expressed in my chat that they did not enjoy the magics, that they do not enjoy that the spirit summons are in the game. That being said, nobody in my community lashed out at them because they weren't outwardly telling somebody that them using these strats were wrong. And I think that's the biggest thing. And as stated, the entire conversation is far more emotionally charged than it needs to be. Everybody's looking to be considered valid, and people are too quick to lash out at anything that potentially invalidates the way that they're playing, whether it was the intended means of the conversation or not. People are super quick to jump to the defense of chief stratters or mimic tier users or magic users, but there's very few people out there that will openly defend somebody that comes in and says, yes, I do not like these strats. The way that I have played the game is X, Y, and Z. This is what I do to enjoy the game. Now, if somebody comes in with that argument and then starts telling other people in the chat, well, you beat this boss with that, so you didn't actually beat the boss, that's where the true issues of this argument come in. But I feel like people are tying those two arguments together before it's ever stated that that's how somebody feels about that situation. I feel like the issues that this video has caused are due to that indirect tie-in. Tying stuff together that was never stated, but people are assuming it is the belief of the individual. And this ties into the part of the video that's getting probably the most backlash, and that is the blind playthrough for your first playthrough versus looking up guides or OP strats and playing the game through like that. Ratatasker spoke out about the ways that he and a friend enjoyed the game the most. There was an anecdote in there where somebody was playing Dark Souls 2 and they used the quote-unquote OP cheese strats in Dark Souls 2, and they did not enjoy the experience in that regard. Ratatasker then asked their friend to give the games another try, but going in on a blind playthrough, and that ended up making the person enjoy the game significantly more and getting them hooked on the series. This was an example. This was not them expressing that this is the only way that people can enjoy these games, and people making that tie to that, I don't believe is on Ratatasker or his video in general. I feel like that is people making assumptions and making ties to stuff that isn't there, implying that this is how somebody feels, even though they have never outwardly expressed that. Elden Ring is an extremely successful game. It is the biggest game that From Software has made, and a lot of new players are coming into this game. But just because there is a large group of new players coming in, and there is a market for both styles of play, does not invalidate one way or the other. And there is honestly hostility from both sides. The people that want a more casual, cheese-filled way, I guess you could say, of playing the game are still valid, but then they are quick to lash out at anybody that expresses that they enjoyed the game in a different way. They held themselves to a different standard of play because that's the way that they enjoy it. So those people are getting told to go touch grass or get a life or stuff like that. As well as there is some elitism within the community. It is a vocal minority, but that does exist where people will outwardly say that you are playing the game incorrectly if you use X, Y, and Z strat. And that is just as wrong as the people that are saying that people need to touch grass. They're both sides of the same coin, and it's both bad and toxic for the community as a whole. What is most concerning to me, and the main reason that I wanted to make this video in particular, is that with both sides of this coin, it seems like there's an overall breakdown in communication when it comes to these games. And that's something that is going to be detrimental to the community as a whole if it keeps up. You cannot just immediately lash out or assume that somebody has ill intent when they express that their opinion on how they play the game is this. That's the way they enjoyed playing the game. Unless they are outwardly telling you that you are wrong for playing the game that you played it because you didn't play it the way that they played it, then you have room to have issue. But if somebody is just making a generalized statement or a YouTube video about the ways that they enjoy playing the game the most, and then making a recommendation that, hey, there might be people out there that would prefer to play the game this way, I highly recommend you do so. And if you don't enjoy playing it, then go back to how you want to play it. Recommendations are a healthy part of a community, a healthy point of conversation. If you cannot handle somebody making a statement like that, especially in a public forum such as YouTube, because at the end of the day, a YouTube video is a video public forum. The chat underneath of a YouTube video is a public forum. If you're not able to handle somebody saying, yes, this is the way that I played the game, this is the way that I found it the most enjoyable, and I recommend it to you because you might have a similar experience, unfortunately, I feel like that's where communication ends. If you cannot have that basic conversation, then you're not going to be able to have a conversation about much anything else. If not even a demand, but a recommendation can spur that kind of a backlash, it is very much concerning for the future of the Elden Ring community. So that's my spiel on this take. Again, Ratatasker, if you watch this and you do not want me to keep this up, let me know. But much love, Tentacrew. Thank you all for watching. We'll be doing more Elden Ring content in the future. Again, much love. Bye-bye.